Welcome back. You're watching Daily Mirror. Shifting our focus to a house in Noida's Sector 31 that no one still wants to talk about. The 1.5-storied bungalow in Noida's Nithari village is now hidden with wild shrubs and trees and is often referred to as a bhoot bungalow. But what happened 17 years ago there in that house can still send a chill down your spine. It was once a house of horrors. A series of appalling and horrendous crimes occurred in that house between 2005 to 2006. Children were sexually assaulted, murdered, and dismembered. The body parts were disposed in and around that house. Not just that, even women met with the same fate as that of the children. The degree of brutality and the sheer number of victims were profoundly shocking. It's a story about two devious men and their monstrosity, and how lack of evidence has ensured that they walk free as the Allahabad High Court acquitted them of all charges. The two prime accused in the infamous case, Surinder Koli and Moninder Singh Pandher, have been acquitted by the Allahabad High Court. Surinder Koli, who was booked in 12 cases and awarded a death penalty by a trial court, but has now been acquitted in all the cases. The other suspect, Moninder Singh Pandher, has been acquitted in the 2 cases filed against him. He too was awarded death penalty by a lower court. Meanwhile, after 17 years, the families of the victims have been left wanting justice, with the accused in the horrific Nithari killing set to walk free. Grieving families of the victims are in a state of shock.
सजा न दी माफ करी जाए, उसको फांसी दी जाए, उसको जरूर फांसी लगाई जाए कि जैसे हमारी बच्ची मारी है ना, ऐसे ही मारा जाए उसको। योगी सरकार से, मोदी सरकार से हमारी यही है प्रार्थना कि इनके दरिंदों को फांसी जरूर दे। कहते तो पुलिस से कि ये पुलिया से उस पुलिया तक इसी में है, कोई कोठी में कोई है। पुलिस वाले मिले हुए थे ना मुनिंदर से, तो इसलिए नहीं उसको पकड़ते थे।
Priyank, my colleague, joins me live from the Delhi newsroom. Priyank, as we speak about this verdict and as you take us through the top development of that, essentially it seems like a big setback for the victims' families as well.
Yes, certainly. They have been fighting this case since their family members, the daughters and sons, went missing in 2006. And it came as a horror for them because they found the body remains in a nearby bungalow and, in fact, outside the bungalow also. That was D5 at Sector 31 of Noida. And later to that, when the matter was investigated by the Noida police, they lost their hope because every time they saw that the details of the case being ignored by the Noida police, finally the case was transferred to the Central Bureau of Investigation. So on total, there were 19 cases for which the CBI started investigating the case. 3 cases could not have sufficient evidence, so the Central Bureau of Investigation filed closer report into that. Gradually, over the period of time, since the case was not coming up on evidential value, the number 19 cases, secreted down to 13 cases. So at the present, what has happened that out of these 13 cases, these accused have been acquitted in 12 cases, and Pandher, who had 3 cases against him, he has got acquitted in 2 of the cases. So on total, there are only one case which is existing against these people. And unfortunately, these victim family don't have so much of money to move to the apex court. All they need is help from the people so that they can fight the further legal battle and contest this order which has come up from the Allahabad High Court.
Right, Priyank. I appreciate you joining us in the broadcast and getting us the latest and also talking to us about what the legal course would be for the families next. But we leave the conversation at that. But to better understand this development, I'm being joined in by my guest, Sunieta Ojha, of course, continues to stay with us, advocate of the Supreme Court, and Ellen Rao, former IPS. Thank you very much for your time. Sunieta, let me begin with you. No one can, of course, forget the horrifying details of this case. But what is your viewpoint about the fact that they've been acquitted today?
No, it is actually you rightly described. It's appalling because this was one incident, one crime which shook the country. And after 17 years, we are still, what we are seeing is an acquittal. Now, there are two aspects of the case which are important. Of course, I mean, as far as the legal remedy is concerned, like our reporter friend pointed out, that the victim family, they have a right to approach the Supreme Court and file a special leave petition and appeal, because one of the important developments that has taken place in the criminal law in terms of in past 2 decades, at least, to acknowledge and recognize rights of the victims and understanding that they are a stakeholder in the justice delivery, in the delivery of justice. Because under the IPC, it is the state versus the accused. So state takes upon itself the right to actually prosecute and investigate, prosecute, and bring it to a justice. Now, over the period of time, the courts have recognized that no, victims' family also need closure. They also need justice. And that is how they have been, over a period of time, they have been given more and more rights to speak against. But what happens in cases like this, where when the crime looked so open and shut, it was right in front of, it was on TV channels, it was in newspapers, the bodies were found, skeletons were found, genetics mapped. What happened in the process of investigation? Somewhere we did somewhere we did miss the point. Somewhere we did, the investigation agencies, although it was given to CBI to, was more specialized, but somewhere the evidence was lost. Ultimately, the court decides on the basis of the evidence. And in a criminal case, not that the evidence has to be enough to hold somebody as a guilty. It has to be proved beyond reasonable doubt. And for that, what we need is a very, very solid investigation, which is providing proof for the conviction or the acquittal, either ways. In most of these cases, what is seen by, it is seen by the public, and it is also seen by the professionals to a great extent, that due to the lack of proper investigations, crimes do not, the victims do not get that closure, they do not get justice. And the cases do not end up in a proper adjudication, which is the sad part, actually. So that is what my take is, that this, not just the family, it is, it also, as a professional, we are already, we are also wondering, what else do you need? And why, despite having bodies, despite having, such evidence, which a lot of time actually the reporters brought out to the public view, why has it resulted in acquittal?
Absolutely. In fact, like you pointed out, lack of proper investigation. Sorry to interject you. Go ahead, Sunieta.
No, sorry. So I was on that point, that somewhere the problem. Another is, it's a classic case where if the victims are from poor class, if they do not have resources to fight, they find it extremely difficult to navigate themselves in this, in this maze of criminal system, justice delivery system. Despite we have provided legal aid, we have provided many facilities, but unfortunately, they have not, in some of these cases actually shook us and tell us that somewhere it's not working. And then we need to take a call on that. So that's my 2 bits on this.
Right, Sunieta, as you make those. All right, I'm going to come back to you in a couple of minutes, but let me also get in Mr. Rao. Mr. Rao, this case did see a lot of twists in the investigation as well. But the fact that we're now seeing that they've been acquitted on the ground of lack of evidence, is this a failure of the system?
Ma'am, this is a very unfortunate case which has been acquitted in Honorable High Court of Allahabad. And as you rightly said, that there may be a lack of evidence or lack of investigation, and so all these things. As Mrs. Ojha told, that there may be some evidences had been eloped, because that initially the might be the case was investigated by the local police, and in fact there was no eyewitness to that because and after that the CBI investigated all these cases, and according to the Honorable High Court, I have not gone through the order, but it apparently seems that there was a lack of evidence in this case, and our criminal justice system lies on that the 99 people, if they are involved in any crime, they may be acquitted if there is no evidence, but not one single person who is innocent should not be convicted. We are working on this theory of that, but this is a really case of a shocking incident. And when it was reported, it was widely covered by the media, and the people were sentimentally very, very much against these people. And now, at this stage, after 17 years, if they are walking out as free men, then it's very shocking, and it is to be seen after seeing the judgment. It should be seen what wrong went. Rightly that the trial, you might have seen that this case was convicted by the trial court. And it seems to be that similar case of that Arusi murder case, in which that the similar things were there. Trial court has convicted all these things, and then after that they went to High Court. Then High Court minutely sees the evaluate the evidence, what available during the trial. And then in that case, it all depends upon the legal battle between the lawyers and all these things. And then if something is suspicious, and because as Mrs. Sunieta was saying that we have to prove the case of prosecution beyond any reasonable doubt. If there is any doubt created by the arguments of the defense lawyers in the High Court, definitely that will create a dent on that prosecution case. And the most important thing is that the investigation that should be of sterling quality, that evidence should be clinching evidence, that on the basis of the clinching evidence and all aspects are to be seen. There should not be any doubt on the prosecution story, or there should not be any doubt about the what has been narrated by the investigating officer in the charge sheet, and all these evidence which are calculated and which are put forward before the court. Then these are seen in a totality of the circumstances, and that of course that cross-examination by the defense counsel is very important in these cases. And if they find out some fault in that case, or faulty investigation, or anything, any evidence which is not corroborated with the other evidences, like you might have seen that the evidences are the primary evidence, that is the eyewitness, and the secondary evidence, that is what are the circumstances of the evidences are collected there, and third is what is the scientific evidence, that FSL report like this. So these all type of evidences, when these are corroborating each other, then there are no chances of acquittal in such type of cases. But if there is any chances of that one of the evidence is not corroborating the other evidence, then definitely it creates a doubt in the mind of the judges who are hearing this appeal in High Court. So I have to see, and we all have to see what is the order of judgment and what are the contents of the order. But apparently it seems that there must be some doubts and some suspicion on the prosecution story. That's why they might have been acquitted in all these cases. I think the CBI officials will take care of the chances, and then they will go through the order in detail, and they will try to go into appeal on the basis of whatever these evidences are not being approved by the Honorable High Court.
Right, Mr. Rao. That is, of course, the next course of action if we look at it from the investigative point of view, investigative agencies rather. Sunieta, I want to come back to you on this. Can this be seen as a reflection of the terrible state of our investigative agencies? Because after over 15 years, the poor families have been told that the prosecutors failed to nail any evidence against the accused, number one. And also, how do courts go from death sentence to not guilty?
So, in this case, my colleague pointed out, the co-panelist, about not having eyewitnesses.
Yes.
Let me say one thing, and I'll take that liberty to say, eyewitness can lie, but circumstantial evidence will not. Provided those circumstantial evidence is collected in a cogent manner, in a quick manner, first few hours when the crime is detected, reported. Those are the crucial hours. We are living in an era of AI. We are living in an era of technology. This is 2000. And how can we make the same sort of an argument that one let 10 criminals get away, but one innocent must not get convicted. Why should even a single criminal get away if we have a very solid investigation, if we use technology in terms of investigation? Because everything hinges upon the investigation. Everything hinges upon whether it is court or the lawyers, the judges, they will ultimately look back to the investigation and invest a good investigation. We have to look at the investigation agencies, those who are at the bottom level. What is their technical qualification? What is their what kind of training they are going through? What is the alacrity with which they are working when a crime is reported? Because what they collect is actually everyone work on. Today, the matter will go from the High Court to Supreme Court. Perhaps something, I have not seen the judgment, perhaps something has escaped High Court's view and Supreme Court can find out. But ultimately, everything, it has to be there on the record. It has to be there because we have seen systematically in all the cases, some of the cases which got actually high profile reporting, etc. And everywhere we come back, every argument, every discussion stops at the point, poor investigation. I mean, someday we have to wake up and say, no, we are good enough. We will investigate each case and as not a single criminal must get away. So yes, the buck stops at the investigative agencies. And I don't want to blame them as such, but I definitely want to say that, that is one area which needs huge amount of working. There are reports, there are reform reports, which has not been acted much. And unless and until we are able to make our investigative agencies there is another about the separating the investigative wing of the police from policing wing, because that will provide them professionalism to approach a crime and investigate in a manner that it will stand the scrutiny of the court, judicial scrutiny. So,
right, Sunieta. Sorry to interject you there, but then there are loopholes which one can only hope that will get better so that, families of such victims do ultimately get justice. But I want to thank you and Mr. Rao for sharing with us your perspective and also for your time. We leave the conversation at that. Thank you.